we take anything from this Superman and what this world of Superman is giving us, we have the ability to choose and to make our own actions. And within those choices and those actions, outside of the bigger ones that we can't control, we can choose to save the squirrel. We can choose to save the squirrel. So, first and foremost, just got to say, huge fan. Really love Superman. This is positive. This is a positivity video here. This is all about just showing up and showing love for something that I think gives a lot of people a lot of hope. Don't want this to be misunderstood as any of those kind of like criticisms or anything like that. There's places for that. And I really love this movie. I thought this movie was awesome. So much so that I just recently published an article with US Catholic about the film called Superman, the Immigrant Hero We Need Today, which if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out. I'm really proud of it. It's a fun little article about immigration and my personal relationship to Superman, which is where I want to jump in here, just talking about why I think this movie was great. I think people obviously really loved it. It did well at the box office, all that kind of stuff. But I still think people are missing the point on what makes Superman so special. And that's the aspect of adoption and migration and this feeling of what is an alien. James Gunn, I think, perfectly delivered a film here that emphasized the human element of Superman and really did something that was like almost impossible, which was take this character that was always larger than life, so distant from the viewer, and bring it down to reality and humanize him in a way that I'd never really seen before. I think it's actually been kind of like the big Moby Dick, so to speak, of Superman, is that no one could really figure this out, and he did it really well, and it was entertaining. I mentioned in the article that this movie was so much about humanity to the point where there's that now famous scene of Superman saving a squirrel, which seems really comical. And I remember when I saw it in the theater, I giggled out loud. I saw it twice in the theater, I should say. I remember giggling out loud the first time, being like, whoa, but also feeling very aware of the intention with that decision, saying like, oh, this is a different kind of thing here we're seeing here, of this guy that wants to just save everything, right? He just wants to give to everything, and be of life and of service to everything. But what was really key and really interesting is the way that they handled the adoption element of Superman. So famously, Superman is born as a Kryptonian alien, right? And Jor-El and Lor-El send him off in the ship, right? They send him off, the Moses story, so to speak, and he's shipped away and lands on the farm of the Kents, and Ma and Pa can't find him. And he's wrestling with this idea of being an alien, literally an alien, but it's also the metaphor of being a migrant, traveling, looking for a new place, but then also trying to look for yourself in a new place. And what they did in this new movie that was really interesting was, whereas in other iterations of the movie, it was always just kind of assumed that Superman understood the why of his adoption and the good of it all, and then kind of had to wrestle with being Superman. So it was this idea that it's we're up to this point, we're good, and now he's got to figure out these points. What I took away from James Gunn's version of this is that it was really, he had to come to terms with all of it in this way, but he was actually really okay with this part of being Superman. This is a Superman that really wants to be Superman. He actually enjoys it, he loves it, whereas in the previous iteration, Zack Snyder's, which I really liked. I really did like the way that he was doing it, but it was darker. It was a little bit more down. It was not, in retrospect, I understand now why people really were bothered by it. At the time, I wasn't. I really enjoyed it. But it's hard to watch your Superman be that way, be really down. But what he was wrestling with was looking at adoption through this lens of a person who really is having trouble accepting who he is. He's having trouble accepting what he's been given, right? And so he's just, everything is just this really difficult wrestling match, and this kind of like, why? What's the point? I don't get this, which is really common with a lot of adoptees. I think that's an important element here. And as an adoptee myself, as someone who is adopted, who has gone through this process, it continues to go through the process every single day, really in my own way, I understood that. I got that. I really appreciated that in Snyder's vision. But what I really, really loved about James Gunn's film, and I think he just totally nailed it, was that there's also this need for all of us, regardless of adoption or not, but especially for adoptees, to put our feet in the ground and make a decision on who we are. And that's really hard for adoptees. It's one of the most difficult things about the whole process is making a decision on who you are, because really you're a lot of people. Your birth, your relinquishment, your all these different things, and then on top of it, you're then your adoption, the culture that you could be if you're from a different place. I was from Romania, now being in New York, Romanian, then boom, Irish, German family, growing up. And so you have these series of decisions all throughout your life, and I continue to face them, where you have to decide what you are, who you are, and what your values are, and where God, for me, right, what God is presenting to you. And what Gunn really did so well, without spoiling it, because I know there's plenty of people that still haven't seen it or have their own way they want to, watch it or whatnot. James Gunn really figured out a way to make you look at this Superman and see him make the decision to say, I am going to be Superman. I want to be Superman. This is my decision, but I do have an out. He gave him an out, which is really wild. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Like, he gave him a point where he could have decided, well, you know what? I'm just an adoptee alien. Really, I don't want to relate to any of this anymore, and I don't need to. I'm out. And to adoptees, we feel that. We feel that all the time. There's so many moments in my life where I've had this feeling of like, what do I want to identify with? It's almost like this secret skin that you can wear. Especially too if you've been adopted into a family where your skin tone matches your family's. It is like this weird secret superpower. And what James Gunn did in this iteration is he made it really clear that the Superman is deciding to do good. He believes in it, and so much so that there's a common theme throughout the film of my choices, my actions. It's really beautiful, and I think it's a beautiful thing to think about in today's world, in today's America, where we're seeing a lot of pain and a lot of torment and a lot of tragedy. I mean, so much division, and it's not going to get any better. I'm not going to just sit here and be coy about it. Like, it's going to get worse. There's going to be a lot more pain. There's going to be a lot more trouble. You can kind of feel us all just being sized up for it. But if we take anything from this Superman and what this world of Superman is giving us, we have the ability to choose and to make our own actions. And within those choices and those actions, outside of the bigger ones that we can't control, we can choose to save the squirrel. We can choose to save the squirrel. And so, as an adoptee, right, who really loves Superman, this is such a personal story to me. I mean, there's very few things that can just bring me to my knees and make me cry, and that's Superman. It just always does it for me. Something always hits me in all the iterations of the character. Whether that's your story, whether it's not, and you just think it's a really cool flick, and you're like, I want to just rock out. That's the other thing too. This movie plays like a rock album. It's just really, really fun. So if you just want to just jam out and experience a really good 2 hours, like, it's a good time. Whatever way that it fits you, lean into it. But just remember though that there's a message here of saving the squirrel. Like, you have the power to go out and do something that could be hopeful. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. And so celebrate that, lift that up and do your thing, and be someone of hope. And ask yourself, what is it in my day-to-day life that is the squirrel, that is the little piece of hope that I could be challenging myself to live into? See what that is. But anyways, I love the movie. James Gunn, you rock. I think it's awesome. I can't wait to see what else you come up with. And I have to say, I was a bit of a skeptic at first. First trailer came out, and I was like, I don't know about this. And I tell you what, I love being proven wrong. This movie was awesome, and I'm grateful for U.S. Catholic for letting me write a little piece about the movie, and it's online now, and then we'll be in the next print edition, which is really exciting, and grateful for you. So, peace.